Welcome to the Level Up Project. This is a show where we provide aspiring entrepreneurs information on how to level up and current business owners tactics on how to improve their business. Today, I have a very special guest, which I'll let introduce himself.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you on this podcast. So my name is Gennaro Ken. I am an entrepreneur, a published author, and I'm here to have this conversation and hopefully add some value to the podcast.
Definitely. Thank you, Gennaro, for being here. And let's get into it. Let's talk more about your current entrepreneurial venture.
Absolutely.
On top of that, this book that you have in front of us.
No, absolutely. So a couple of years ago, I actually decided to kind of sit down and write this book, Shuftu. And it's really about a journey, my personal journey. Again, I was born and raised in Sudan, made it to Egypt with my family for a while, and then ultimately in Buffalo, New York. That's where I grew up. And the entrepreneurial journey really started with seeing the opportunity that a business can really provide, which is that if you see something that you feel like you can build or you can add to or you can bring some sort of value to the community or into that space, then you can certainly make something out of it. Now, the question is, how do you make something out of that?
Definitely. I agree. That is the big question. How do you make something out of it? How do you take something from an idea to an implementation to then seeing it be successful? So tell me a little bit more about how you turned an idea and what that idea was into an actual concrete business.
Absolutely. So, for me, it was really about what value can you bring in terms of whatever business that you're looking to start. So specifically, the business that I initially started was actually a service-based business, hair braiding business, where it was something that's needed in the space that we happened to be at the time. And I knew people who were really good at doing the job. However, they didn't have the background or kind of the skill set or even knowing how to start the business. So essentially, I just kind of looked at, hey, how do you start a business? Did my research, looked at a particular location, and also saw that within that space, you can earn some sort of profit. So ultimately, I just kind of went down the rabbit hole and figured out how to start the business, how to scale it. And right now it's thriving, it's doing fairly well.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So the business is a hair braiding business, right?
Correct.
Nice. Where is it located?
So it's actually located in Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah.
Nice.
Midwest.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you also have a financial background.
I do.
How did that, I know that financial background, I'm sure it played a crucial role in the success of your business. What were some strategies or some, levers that you pulled in order to look at the business and say, hey, we need this and we can, in this time we can do this? Or because when we start a business, I feel like we're looking at, solving a problem. We can look at it creatively, but then a lot of us forget we need cash flow.
Absolutely.
And we need to get money. And then once we have the revenue, like at the beginning, it's like, wow, I'm keeping all of this. But the truth is, you have a lot of expenses.
That is true.
So tell me more about, how your financial background has played in the success of your business.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very important that you know what's coming in and what's going out, to your point. Depending on the type of business that you're operating, obviously cash flow can be a very serious issue. But it all ultimately comes down to, first and foremost, having a budget. And I know it sounds very old school, but that's one thing that can absolutely make or break in most cases, which is keeping track on what's coming in. Because often what happens is that people can kind of get lost in the sauce, so to speak, or just focus on the production aspect of the business or just the responsibilities and whatever the case may be. But it's important that you know what you're spending on, also what you're earning, and then make adjustments accordingly. So, maybe Q1, you happen to, sell more than expected, which is great news. Now, Q2 may be slower. However, your expenses still might be the same. So in order to kind of balance out and make sure that you're not working to the bone and not earning anything, or kind of even worse, end up, having cash flow issues and having to tap into other sources or taking out loans or whatever the case may be, I would say rule number one, keep track of your finances and really have a clear idea as far as what that looks like.
No, that's good. Thank you so much. Now, when it comes to, let's say you had that mention of Q1 and then the second, let's say the second month or Q2.
Mm.
Q1, you do really well. Q2, not so well. What do you do then in terms of finances? Let's say you saved it all. Do you want to use those savings to make up for the bad months? What kind of, I'd say, what metrics or what would you need to have in place to realize that other than looking at the bank account and saying, oh
Right.
no, I ran out of money?
No, absolutely. So, it's there are levels to it, obviously, depending on how kind of advanced you are in the business, how long your business been in place.
Sure.
Because often as a startup, you're still kind of figuring out, what
Everything.
lane.
Yeah, everything.
Exactly. You're still figuring out everything. But obviously, with experience, you tend to kind of, get a better grasp at things or finding, more effective way, for instance, to produce a product and still be able to sell it for, a higher margin or whatever the case may be. Also, you can put into place strategies where, again, if you have that cash flow, you may not necessarily just want it sitting around in a bank account earning whatever percentage they're offering you at this particular point. Often businesses can actually use, tax advantages or use other strategies where they can use that cash flow to grow over time. Maybe invest it in certain, vehicles that make sense for that particular business. Maybe expand, so that way you're earning more. There are many different ways that you can go about it, but it's important to first and foremost kind of know your craft, be an expert in that space, to be honest with you, and then ultimately kind of make adjustments or make kind of just adjustments to your strategy that would make better sense for you. Because at the end of the day, the whole goal of having a business is to scale and to grow, and hopefully it'll become such a fine-tuned machine that you don't necessarily have to worry about the basics anymore.
Right. You could be at the beach and
There you go.
and still receiving,
That's
the
the
money
dream.
coming in.
That's the dream that hopefully every business person is, has, which is to ultimately achieve whatever goal you're looking to achieve and the lifestyle that you're looking for, or that service or benefit that value that you're looking to bring.
Definitely. No, I appreciate you sharing that. And that's phenomenal for current business owners. Now, in terms of aspiring entrepreneurs, there's one key piece that you touched on that I would like to go a little bit deeper on, and that's creating the budget. Say you had the idea, but I'm sure there had to be a point of saving up and saying, this is going to go towards, let's say that hiring people. This is going to
Right.
go towards marketing. This is going to go towards the rent. So budgeting, what are some key steps that an aspiring entrepreneur should take in mind? You have the idea. Okay, how do you go from idea? Let's put budgeting somewhere in there, but idea to an actual business that has customers and that people are coming back.
No, that's a great question. I think for any entrepreneur, understanding how you're going to take that idea from that thought, that dream, whatever it is, into reality. It's important to figure out how the building blocks actually work. So I know we talked a lot about budgeting, and that could just be a pen and a paper,
Sure.
old-fashioned way, or using one of the million apps out there that can literally help you break down all aspects of things. Sorry, just if you can reiterate the question, because I felt like I
Sure, don't worry about it.
lost the tangent a bit.
Basically, I'd say I'm an aspiring business owner.
Yeah.
You already have a business. How do I go from idea to starting the business?
Absolutely.
Maybe, let's say step 1 is idea, step 2, blank, 3, 4,
Yeah.
and then 5 is starting the business.
Right. Okay.
What's
no.
in the middle? And how can the aspiring entrepreneurs out there say, you know what? I'm tired of having this idea on a piece of paper. I'm going to listen to Gennaro and I'm going to take these steps and I'm going to start my business.
So that's a really good point. I think depending on what sort of business you're looking to start, what industry you're in, obviously some can be very simple to start.
Sure.
Others can be very complex. But I would say the very first thing you need to do is act, in order to just kind of bring anything into reality. Because I think this may not be for everyone, but I think it's a common thing where sometimes we're a little too much in our heads, where we're trying to
Yes.
refine and fine tune and kind of figure everything out. in our heads before we actually take any concrete step to make it happen. That is, I think, the number one dream killer. Because if the idea is just in your mind and it doesn't actually come to reality, then it'll just die with you. So I would definitely say, first and foremost, do your research. Whatever industry or business that you're in, try to educate yourself as much as you can, which for me, I think, knowledge is power. And then once you kind of have a grasp of it, then put into action concrete steps. Step one, this is what I need to do in order to get it going. Step two, for some people, they may need 5 steps. For others, they may need 3 steps to for instance, a storefront. What service or business you're looking to start, location. What location makes sense? What's the competition there? How much will it cost me? How much am I projecting to earn, in the very first 3 months or 6 months, and kind of go from there. But if, you're looking to, I don't know, start a cybersecurity company or something like that, that might be a different story.
Yeah.
But, I would certainly say, do your market research, take concrete step, get going, and then figure out things as you go. And then ultimately, I think lastly, understand who you need, right, to work with, or who are experts or people that really can support you in the spaces that you may not be good at. So that's a really important thing as well, because sometimes we try to figure everything on our own, and that may not be the best thing.
Right. So partnerships, like, are we talking advisors? Are we talking mentors? Are we talking coaches? And I think I'm kind of grouping them all together, like employees.
Yeah.
Partners. Partners as in businesses, and then partners as in bring somebody in as a partner.
Right. Well, that can, I think all of those can be useful at different stages. If you need a partner because, maybe you don't have enough funds to start the business on your own and you need additional funding, that's one thing. If you need a partner because it happens to be a certain business where you need somebody who kind of brings a different perspective or a different skill set to make it work, possibly. Or you could just be hired contractors, right? Maybe you just need somebody to, I don't know, kind of renovate
Sure.
the storefront or whatever the case may be. You can try to do it on your own, right? Or you could bring a contractor who will actually take what you drew or what you imagined on paper and make it a reality, right? So it's a matter of really assessing and seeing what you need, and then ultimately, making that conscious decision that, okay, this is the value that this particular person, partner, or whatever the case may be, or company will bring and make sense, and ultimately furthers the reality of making that dream, bring it to life.
Yeah, thank you for making it simple. I kind of summed it up to think, act, win.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. It's like you have to do it.
Absolutely.
Get it off the piece of paper. And if also another thing is, if it's an idea that you implement and you act upon it, another thing is sometimes the businesses that we have in our head and we put to action, sometimes they don't work.
Oh, absolutely. That's
sometimes
true.
They're good for us, but it turns out it's not good for the market, or people aren't acting the same. I'm sure this goes back to finances. I'm sure there's a certain point where, and it might be hard because there's a sunk cost, we have to say, this isn't working. And I've tried many different ways. I've seen other perspectives, and it's just not working anymore. And you have to close the door on that idea, but open it up to a new one. Like a lot of those people that I really like Shark Tank, and a lot of the people that have been on there has been honest and said, I've had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 businesses.
Yeah.
But now bringing it back like a little bit to the business owner perspective, is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? How long? Let's say in terms of cash flow, how is that? Let's say we use cash flow as a determinant of when it's time to close a business, as I know a lot of restaurants do.
Oh yeah.
When is the right time to close it? When is the time to say, I need to do something else, as far as finances go?
Well, honestly, I don't think there's necessarily, kind of a silver bullet for us to figure out. It all comes down to you as an entrepreneur, as somebody who has an idea what you're looking to accomplish, and also recognizing sometimes, like to your point, I've done all I can for this particular,
Right.
business, and what am I going to do next, right? Like, what are the drastic steps that you would need to take in order to keep this moving? And does it make sense, right? If it comes down that you no longer have any sort of cash flow to keep the business afloat, to pay your rent, to pay your vendors, your employees, whatever the case may be, and all you have left is, I don't know, your home. Are you willing to take the risk and, take a second mortgage or a line of, equity or whatever the case may be? You have to determine that. And then also, is it just you, or does this affect other people within your circle or your life or whatever the case may be? So these are things that, I think each and every individual has to kind of reflect on and see if that makes sense. And, to your point, there are big names all around the
All
world
around.
who
I
have,
mean,
yeah.
all around. I don't know
Exactly.
if we can say them, but a lot of
Yeah, same
restaurants
here.
right now.
Yeah. So it's, what did they do? That's different. Also, I think often, and I'm a huge believer in doing research and learning from what people have done, where they have failed, where they've succeeded, because, maybe you're looking to do something that someone has already done and now they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Well, use that as kind of a case study, right? There's no need to reinvent the wheel sometimes because it's already been done. So you can use that and see if you can help yourself or put yourself in a better position.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a book too. I think it's called Why Make Ideas. They're already made. Just
Yeah,
borrow
build on
it.
them. Exactly.
Pretty
Or
much.
Exactly. So it's kind of like fine tuning things. We can make incremental changes to something that's there, and maybe it's been used for 100 years, but now you can make an adjustment, and that adds an additional value or makes it a much better product. So I think ideas are similar in a way, and there's no shortage of them out there.
I agree. And also staying ahead of the curve.
That too. Yeah.
Staying ahead of the curve, audiences are changing. The way we market to them has to change.
Right. No, of course.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, I think, again, being in the entrepreneurial world, it's one of those things that I think it can be absolutely exhilarating and exciting and just, on cloud nine. But there's the other factor, right? Which is when things don't go accordingly or you hit, setbacks or whatever the case may be, it can be very difficult to bounce back from it. But I think if you truly believe in your business ideas and what you're looking to do, what you're looking to build, what value you're looking to bring, then you can use that as a motivational factor to kind of like, get back up and, just kind of go after it.
Definitely. And this is a little different tangent, but it's something that's been recently brought up in conversations with friends and family. How do you think health and fitness makes a person better? And both entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, how do people see and perceive you when you're healthy and fit? And how do you feel?
Okay. And I think, first and foremost, I think it's important to first focus on you as a person.
Sure.
And your perception of yourself and what's good for you, what's kind of like that inner side of it. And ultimately, people are going to perceive you how they perceive you, right? You can be the nicest, best person in the world, whatever the case may be, and 9 people will see you for that. You might have one person that sees it a different way. But to your point, I think health and fitness is really an important factor because it allows you to be able to go out there and do what you need to do. If you're healthy, you have more energy, right? You're probably thinking more clearer. You're able to accomplish a whole lot more than if you're sick, right? And kind of, again, when we're in the spaces that we're at and we're kind of the driving factors, we're
Right.
literally doing work that if we're not there, then, this business may not, be successful, or we have people who are responding or kind of, looking at us to lead and kind of make things happen. If you're not there, then who's going to do it, right? But I think all in all, there's a combination. You need to kind of focus on yourself and be at peace with yourself, take care of your health. But at the same time, there's the kind of exterior or the outward part of it, which affects other people, your business, and all of that stuff. So I think it's really important to be able to. And besides, who doesn't want to be healthy and happy?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Now that's a big one, and the thinking clearly is extremely important, and being physically fit is definitely good. And I guess the longer you live, the better.
Well,
Ultimately,
I'd like to think so. No, certainly. But again, I think we get one life, and my advice is to try to make the most out of it. You know what I mean? Find something meaningful that you do, whatever it is. Again, if you have family and friends and just kind of a community that helps you kind of, like build that quality life, I think that's what all of us, kind of aspire to do. You know what I mean? Have some value that we're bringing or doing whatever it is that you're looking at. I think it's just important to be able to kind of keep focus at that, and because before you know it, you look back and it's like, hey, it's been 25 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Health, life, and balance. How do you balance your work life,
Yeah.
entrepreneurial life,
hmm
family, and then fun?
Man, that's a great question.
Because we all have
Yeah.
24 hours.
True. I'm still kind of looking for that perfect recipe for it, to be honest. For me, I just try to prioritize. I really kind of try to keep my focus on what's important in life. With work, sometimes, as you probably well know, you can kind of get carried away, and you might be in that kind of like that sweet spot where you just work, and that's where your mind is. But at the same time, I think it's important not to neglect, like people that you care about, your family, and all of that stuff. Again, your health is important, so it's kind of just making sure that all right, I don't lose track of these things, or I don't kind of like, neglect them in a way, and just try to make a conscious effort to be intentional about it. And I think routines help. Maybe not for everyone, but I find that it's useful for me, which is like, okay, Sunday afternoon or Monday morning or Wednesday evening or whatever, where I'm doing things regularly, I'm gonna keep doing that consistently, and it often, over time, hopefully, it just becomes kind of like that's just the way it is. This is the way I do all of this, and it's a healthy balance. So to each their own, but I highly recommend finding things that work for you and on a schedule. That helps a
Yeah,
lot.
I agree. I'm a firm believer of your thoughts become your actions,
Mm,
and then your actions. There's a little bit longer way to say it, but your actions become your life.
absolutely, I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I
No, no,
appreciate it.
no. Thank you. I'm
All
glad
these
to be here.
insights have been great. I have to take notes.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. This has been great, and yeah,
Oh,
looking
well,
forward to building more, keeping in touch, and hopefully, writing a second or a third book, like you said. But so Shifter book is available on Amazon. Get yourself a copy.
will do. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.